all the ideas from David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. Imagine your brain isn't an endless storage unit for tasks, but a tool for creativity and solutions. David Allen, in his book, Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, originally titled GTD, offers a system that helps declutter your mind, organize the chaos of your to-dos, and live without that constant feeling of, I forgot something. This isn't just a book about time management. It's a guide on how to be productive without going crazy from stress. An interesting fact about the book. Allen wrote the first version of the book in 2001 based on his experience as a productivity consultant. He was once an actor, a musician, and even studied martial arts, then realized his calling was to help people cope with overload. Since then, GTD has become a cult methodology used by millions, from entrepreneurs to parents. The book is worth reading to stop drowning in tasks and learn to focus on what matters most. It will also help you finally get a good night's sleep without an endless to-do list swirling in your head. Part 1. The Art of Workflow Management. Chapter 1. The New Reality of Stress-Free Productivity. This chapter introduces the modern problem of being overwhelmed by tasks and information, which makes it hard to stay productive. It explains why old time management methods don't work, and proposes a new approach based on freeing the mind from unnecessary thoughts. Freeing your brain from task storage is necessary to increase productivity. Thoughts of unfinished business create stress, and they need to be offloaded onto external tools to allow you to focus on the present moment. New realities demand flexibility, not rigid plans. Life has become too dynamic, and fixed schedules often fall apart, so a method that adapts to changes is needed. Stress-free productivity is achievable through control over tasks. When all tasks are recorded and structured, a sense of calm and confidence emerges. Someone notices they can't sleep, thinking about tomorrow's meeting, buying a gift, and car repairs. They grab a notepad, write down these 3 tasks, and immediately feel relief because they no longer need to keep them in their head. The next day, they tackle them one by one, without being distracted by anxiety. This chapter sets the tone for the book, showing that mental chaos is the main cause of stress, and simply writing down tasks already changes how you perceive work and life. Chapter 2. Workflow Management. How to take control of your life under time pressure. This chapter explains how the workflow is structured and why it's important to manage it systematically. It describes how unfinished tasks drain energy and proposes an approach to ensure nothing is missed. Unfinished business creates mental clutter that makes it hard to focus. Every open task, even a small one like call a friend, takes up space in your head until it's resolved or recorded. Workflow management begins with complete control over commitments. You need to know exactly what needs to be done to avoid getting lost in a flood of random tasks. Regularly clearing your mind increases efficiency. Constantly writing down ideas and tasks not only helps declutter your mind, but also provides an overall picture. An employee has 15 emails to answer, plus they promised a colleague help with a report. They sit down for 10 minutes, write all tasks into a list, reply to client email, coordinate report with colleague, and tackle them in order without getting sidetracked by other thoughts. By the end of the day, they feel everything is under control. This chapter reveals how a systematic approach to tasks eliminates chaos, turning time pressure into a manageable process where every detail has its place. Chapter 3. How to get projects done. The 5 stages of workflow management. This chapter introduces the core of the GTD method, the 5 stages that help bring any task to completion. It details how to capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage with tasks. Collecting all tasks in one place is the first step to order. Any ideas, commitments, or reminders need to be recorded so nothing gets lost in daily bustle. Clarifying tasks requires clear decisions. Each task needs to be processed. Discard it, do it immediately, or defer it with a specific plan. Organizing tasks by category simplifies work. Dividing tasks into lists like due today or awaiting response helps keep everything at hand without confusion. Regular review keeps the system alive. Checking lists once a week allows you to update them and not forget important items. Acting is based on prioritizing. Executing tasks depends on current time, energy, and context, not on a random impulse. Someone wants to organize a vacation. They gather ideas, choose a hotel, buy tickets, pack suitcase and phone notes. Then they clarify, research hotel reviews goes on the to-do list, and wait for flight deals goes on the waiting list. They organize everything into a vacation folder, check progress once a week, and decide what to do next. For example, book a room when they have time. This chapter provides a concrete plan to turn a chaotic collection of tasks into a clear system where each step logically leads to the result. Overall conclusion for part 1. The first part of the book lays the foundation of the GTD method, showing why old approaches to productivity are outdated and how you can live stress-free if you manage your tasks correctly. Through mind emptying, control over commitments, and the 5 stages of workflow, the reader gains not just theory, but a practical framework that can be applied immediately. This is the start of a journey toward order, where the main thing is to stop relying on memory and start trusting the system. Part 2, the practice of stress-free productivity. Chapter 4, getting started, setting up your time, space, and tools. This chapter is dedicated to preparing for the implementation of the GTD system. It discusses how to organize your workspace, allocate time, and choose tools so that nothing distracts you from working on tasks. A clean workspace increases efficiency. Cleaning your desk and removing clutter helps you focus on current tasks without visual noise. Allocating time for system setup is a mandatory step. 2 to 3 hours at the beginning are needed to gather all tasks and organize them. Tools should be simple and convenient. A notebook, an app, or folders. The main thing is that they are always at hand and don't complicate the process. Someone decides to implement GTD. They clear old papers from their desk, leaving only their laptop and notebook, dedicates Saturday morning to organizing tasks, and downloads a simple list app. In the end, all tasks are recorded within a couple of hours, and the workspace inspires them to work. This chapter shows that order in your tasks starts with order around you, and proper preparation makes the GTD system real and workable. Chapter 5, capture, how to gather all your stuff. This chapter explains the first stage of GTD, capturing all tasks, ideas, and commitments in one place. It describes in detail how to empty your head of everything that occupies your thoughts. Full task capture frees the mind. You need to write down everything from small things like buy batteries to big goals like write a book, so nothing slips through the cracks. Physical and digital in-baskets are the core of the process. These can be a notebook, a paper tray, or a folder on your phone, where all thoughts and reminders are dumped. No filtering is needed at the capture stage. The main thing is to get everything out indiscriminately. Sorting will come later. Someone sits down with a notebook and in 20 minutes writes, fix the faucet, call mom, buy a new backpack, prepare a report. They don't think about what's important or not, they just record. After this, their head feels lighter and they're ready to move on. This chapter teaches that the first step to order is to lay all your cards on the table, even if there are too many, and that's what kickstarts the system. Chapter 6, clarify, how to empty your in-basket. This chapter reveals the second stage of GTD processing collected tasks. It describes how to make decisions on each item so that the in-basket becomes empty. Each task requires a decision: do, discard, or defer. You need to ask yourself, does this require action? And what's the next action? To avoid leaving anything in limbo. The 2-minute rule speeds up the process. If a task can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately instead of putting it on a list. Delegating and deferring are part of clarification. If someone else can do it, or it's not urgent, the task goes to the appropriate list. Someone goes through their list. Call mom. Takes a minute, they call right away. Fix the faucet, they delegate to a plumber. Prepare report, they move to tomorrow's to-do list. The inbox empties, and they feel progress. This chapter demonstrates how to quickly turn a pile of ideas into concrete actions, eliminating uncertainty and procrastination. Chapter 7, organize, how to set up the right system. This chapter focuses on the third stage of GTD organizing tasks. It describes how to distribute tasks into lists and keep them in order. Category-based lists simplify task management. For example, next actions, waiting for, projects, and someday divided by maybe help keep tasks under control. The calendar is only for hard deadlines. It includes appointments and due dates, not all tasks, to keep it clean. Physical and digital folders are needed for materials. Documents, notes, and project links are stored separately for easy retrieval. Someone creates lists. In next actions, they write send email to client, in waiting for response from plumber. In projects, organize vacation. They add only the meeting with their boss to the calendar and put vacation papers in a folder. Now everything is structured. This chapter provides a clear plan to sort chaos into an easy-to-use system ready for action. Chapter 8, Reflect. How to keep your system up to date. This chapter is dedicated to the fourth stage of GTD, regularly reviewing the system. It explains how to checklist to keep them current and useful. The weekly review is key to order. Once a week, you need to go through all your lists, update them, and plan your next steps. A daily review helps you focus. A quick glance at next actions and your calendar in the morning sets the tone for the day. Deleting unnecessary items keeps the system clean. Anything outdated or irrelevant is crossed off to avoid cluttering your lists. On Sunday, someone sits down with coffee and checks their lists. Response from plumber is still in waiting for, they call themselves. Buy backpack is no longer needed. They cross it off. In the morning, they see what's a priority for today and start the day calmly. This chapter emphasizes that the system only stays alive with regular maintenance, and without reviews, it will become dead weight. Chapter 9, Engage. How to make the best choices. This chapter analyzes the fifth stage of GTD task execution. It describes how to choose what to do right now based on context, time, and energy. Context determines which tasks are available. For example, calls are made on the phone and emails on the computer, which helps save time. Available time influences choices. If there are 15 minutes, short tasks are tackled and longer ones are saved for free hours. Energy level is an important filter. Fatigue is suitable for simple tasks like paying bills, while a fresh mind is best for complex projects. Someone on the subway with 20 minutes and low energy decides to check emails on their phone, not write a report. At home, with 2 hours and a good mood, they sit down for a project. Everything gets done at the right moment. This chapter teaches flexibility in choosing actions, showing how to adjust tasks to your life, not the other way around. Chapter 10, Project Management. How to see them through to completion. This chapter focuses on large tasks projects. It explains how to break them down into steps and move toward completion without stress. Every project begins with defining the desired outcome. A clear goal, like vacation organized, sets the direction and motivates. A next action kickstarts progress. Any project is broken down into small steps, and the first one is taken immediately. Regular tracking keeps the project afloat. Checking the project list once a week reminds you what needs to be done next. Someone plans a vacation. The goal is beach vacation in July. The first action is look at flights, which they do right away. Each week, they check the project, adding steps like book hotel, and everything moves toward the finish. This chapter proves that even big goals are achievable if broken into parts and the next step is kept in sight. Overall conclusion for part 2. The second part of the book is a step-by-step guide to implementing GTD in your life. From setting up your workspace to executing tasks and completing projects, all the tools are provided to turn theory into practice. Each chapter adds a new layer to the system, making it not just a collection of ideas, but a working mechanism for order and calm. Part 3, The Power of the Key Principles. Chapter 11, The Power of the Capture Habit. This chapter reveals why the habit of collecting all tasks and thoughts is the foundation of productivity. It explains how constantly recording everything frees the mind and helps you not miss opportunities. Capture as a habit reduces stress. Regularly writing down all ideas, tasks, and commitments eliminates anxiety because nothing gets lost in your head. Instant recording maintains clarity. Any thought that arises during the day is immediately written down so it doesn't distract from the current task. The the full picture emerges from small details. Constant capture of even minor tasks eventually shows what's important and what can be discarded. Someone on the subway remembers they need to buy a light bulb and immediately writes it down on their phone. At home, an idea for an article comes during dinner. They jot it down in a notebook. By the end of the week, they have a list of 10 tasks and 3 ideas, which they calmly process. This chapter emphasizes that capture is not a one-time action, but a lifestyle that keeps your head clear and open to new things. Chapter 12. The power of defining the next action. This chapter focuses on the concept of the next action as the driving force behind all progress. It explains how a small step transforms large tasks into achievable ones. Defining the next action eliminates procrastination. A clear step like call a friend is easier to start than thinking about the entire task. Every project needs a first step. Even complex goals like move to another city begin with a simple action, such as look at listings. The what's next decision maintains momentum. Constant forward movement keeps tasks alive and prevents them from getting stuck. Someone wants to write a book, but doesn't know where to start. They decide the next action is outline for 10 minutes and do it that evening. A week later, they have a structure ready because they defined the next step each time. This chapter proves that even the most ambitious plans become real if broken down into small, concrete actions. Chapter 13. The power of outcome-oriented thinking. This chapter explains how focusing on the end goal helps make the right decisions and move forward. It delves into why it's important to see the result, not just the process. A clear vision of the outcome sets direction. Imagining success, such as new job found, motivates and helps weed out the unnecessary. Outcome orientation simplifies priorities. Tasks not leading to the goal are discarded, and energy goes to what truly matters. Flexibility in methods maintains focus. If the goal is clear, approaches can be changed without losing sight of the outcome. Someone wants to lose 10 pounds. They keep the result in mind, feel light, so they choose workouts instead of useless diets. When their schedule changes, they switch to walks, but the goal remains a priority. This chapter shows that success depends on a clear picture of the result, which guides actions and keeps you on track. Chapter 14. The GTD methodology and cognitive science. This chapter connects the GTD method with scientific principles of brain function. It explains how the system utilizes cognitive characteristics to reduce mental load and increase efficiency. The brain is not designed for task storage. Cognitive research confirms that memory gets overloaded if too much is kept in mind, and offloading tasks frees up resources. Recording the next action reduces anxiety. Science shows that uncertainty causes stress, and a concrete step calms the mind. Regular review maintains cognitive control. Periodically checking lists helps the brain trust the system instead of trying to remember everything itself. Someone notices they forget small tasks and feel anxious. They start writing everything down in a list, like buy coffee and check it once a day. A week later, they notice the anxiety is gone and their memory works better. This chapter justifies GTD from a scientific perspective, showing that it's not just a method, but a way to work in harmony with your brain. Overall conclusion for part 3. The third part of the book deepens the understanding of GTD, revealing the key principles that make the system sustainable and effective. The habit of capturing, defining the next action, outcome-oriented thinking, and the scientific basis demonstrate why the method works not only in practice, but also on a psychological level. This is the final chord that transforms GTD from a set of techniques into a philosophy of productive, stress-free living. This is such a wonderful book. I wrote down all the important points from this book, all the techniques and tools, and also made a step-by-step action plan based on the book. You can get all this in my private club, Place of Power. There you will find a ready-made, detailed text analysis with similar lists for hundreds of best-selling self-help books. Also, only there can you get an exclusive analysis of the newest best-selling books that are currently at the top of Amazon's sales charts. Join via the link in the description and enjoy.